I'm going to show the difference in construction between the continuous tense and the perfect tense. A lot of my students at the kind of A1 and A2 level often confuse these. So I'm not going to talk about what they're used for. That will be a different class. I just want to talk about how it's made. If something is a continuous tense, it needs to use the verb to be for the first verb plus the ing for the second verb. So there are two verbs. First, you need to use the verb to be and then the ing form of the verb. So what would this look like? If we're doing the present continuous, it would be something like I am going. He is doing. And that's how you make it. It needs to have the verb to be in the simple present if you're doing present continuous, and the second verb has the ing form. If you want to do the past continuous, it would be I was going. He was doing. Because here you use to be in the simple past. So for the present, to be has to be in the simple present, and for the past, to be has to be in the simple past. So, and the simple past, okay. So, it has to have the two verbs. This is how you make it. And that is how you can see that it is continuous. If it's continuous, it has the ing. But to have the ing, it must have the verb to be before it. Okay, so what's a common mistake that people make here? Well, they say, I going to work. No, must be I am going. You often see people using the continuous tense too much. They overuse it. So, for example, they say something like, I am go. You cannot do this. When you say I am and you need to put the next verb, it has to be in the continuous. It must have this to be correct. So to be continuous, it needs to have the verb to be and the ing. There are two verbs. For a perfect tense, there's also two verbs. But here we have the verb to have is the first, and we're going to have the past participle. This is the second. There is no ing in the perfect tense. So saying I have going is completely wrong. Completely wrong. It is a very common mistake. We do not use have and the ing, and we do not use the ing with anything other than the verb to be. So, how do we make the perfect tense? Well, you say something like I have for the present. The verb to have has to be in the simple present. So for the present perfect, I have, and the past participle, I have gone. From the verb to go, I have gone. He has done. So you have the verb to have and the past participle. Okay, if you want to do the past perfect, you need to use the simple past form of the verb to have. I had gone. He has. He had done. Again, this is the same for the present continuous and the present perfect. The first verb that you use is in the simple present. When you're doing the past continuous and the past perfect, the first verb is in the simple past. So when you're doing the first verb, make it simple present for the present and simple past for the past. So the ing form in the continuous is pretty easy to construct because you just put ing at the end. The past participles of the verb, however, need to be learned. Most verbs that we use in English are irregular. So you do need to learn the past participle because they are unusual to look at. Okay. So if I say something like, the verb to be is I am in present, I was in simple past, and been is the present perfect. If we use the verb to do, it's I do, I did, and done. So for the irregular verbs, you need to learn them off. Sometimes the simple past in the regular verbs is the same as the past participle. So if you use the verb to look, for example, which is a regular verb, you would say, I look, present, I looked, simple past, and it's looked for the past participle too. So you would say, I have looked at it. So here, the present perfect is just have looked. We also use it with another regular verb, to want. So I want, present. I wanted, simple past. And the past participle is also wanted. So I have wanted to go there for a long time. I have wanted to go there for a long time. Present perfect tense. So with the regular verbs, most of the time, the simple past and the past participle is the same. But for the irregular verbs, it's not. So this is how you know the difference between a continuous and a perfect tense. Continuous is the verb to be with the ing. Perfect tense is the verb to have and the past participle. So other ways of using these, the different ways of using these, the main difference between them really would come down to whether you're using it in the present or the past. So when I talk about the easiest ways to improve your English, I always tell my students to break grammar down into parts. If you look at the overall, the amount that needs to be learned, it's too difficult, it's too overwhelming. So I always suggest that, for example, when you're starting, first learn the difference between the present simple and the present continuous. Know these. Then for the past tense, know the difference between the simple past and the present perfect. Because in the present tense, the simple and the continuous are the two that everybody confuses the most. And in the past, it's the simple past and the present perfect that people confuse the most. So if you want to sound more fluent, it's really good to be able to know the difference between these. I will do other lessons related to the uses of these tenses, but just remember that if it's got the ing, it's continuous, and if it's got the past participle, it's perfect. And they must have a verb before them. And to be is with the continuous, and have is with the perfect tense. You can find shorter lessons on my TikTok and Instagram. And if you have any questions, please write it in the comments and I will answer them for you.